Somewhere in America right now, a machine is washing a car. No employees are watching it. The owner is asleep. And by the end of this month, that single building, car smaller than a McDonald's, may quietly clear more profit than the restaurant next door. Private equity firms have spent the last decade buying car washes. Not tech startups, not factories, car washes. Billions of dollars, hundreds of locations at a time. One chain was bought, taken public, and then bought again for over $3 billion. Another was assembled for roughly $1 billion and quietly sold for a fraction of that. Somebody made a fortune in this business. Somebody else lost one. Which raises an obvious question: what do they know that you don't? Today we're opening the books on the American car wash. What it costs to build one, how it actually makes money, the subscription trick that changed the entire industry, and the honest math on whether you could or should own one. And at the end, like always, this business gets the stamp. Clever, risky, or money pit. So, is a car wash a clever investment? Let's open the books. First, understand what kind of car wash we're talking about, because there are 3 very different businesses hiding under one name. The first is the self-serve bay. Coin-operated wands. Do it yourself. It's the cheapest to build and the cheapest to run. A few bays, some pressure pumps, a coin box. But it's the smallest business of the 3. The revenue ceiling is low, and it's slowly fading as fewer people want to wash their own cars. The second is the full-service wash, the classic operation where humans vacuum, dry, and detail while you wait in a lobby with vending machine coffee. It feels premium, but look at the economics and you'll see a business being squeezed to death. 15, sometimes 20 workers on a shift. Wages, turnover, training, scheduling. Every car that rolls through carries a payroll burden that automation simply doesn't have. Full service has been dying for a decade because of what came third. The third is the express tunnel. A conveyor grabs your car and pulls it through 100+ feet of automated equipment. Pre-soak, foam curtains, high-pressure arches, spot-free rinse, dryers. 3 minutes, no humans touching the car. Free vacuums at the exit. This is the model taking over America, and it's the one investors are fighting over. Why? 3 words: throughput, labor, and subscriptions. An express tunnel can wash well over 100 cars per hour. Some push toward 200, with just a handful of employees on site. Compare that to the full-service wash, which might need 4 times the staff to move a fraction of the volume. Per car washed, the express model doesn't just beat full service, it embarrasses it. The express tunnel didn't just improve the car wash, it industrialized it. And once something is industrialized, it can be financed, replicated, and rolled up. Remember those 3 words, because everything that follows, the fortunes made and the fortunes lost, comes from them. So what does it cost to get in? Start with land. Because this business is real estate wearing a rubber apron. An express wash lives or dies on traffic counts. You want a corner lot on a road carrying 25,000 cars a day or more, with easy entry and exit, ideally surrounded by the errands of daily life. Grocery stores, pharmacies, drive-through coffee. Washing the car is an impulse and a habit, not a destination. That kind of retail real estate is exactly what every fast food chain, bank branch, and pharmacy also wants, and it's priced accordingly. Depending on the market, the land alone can run from several $100,000 to well over $1 million. Then the building and site work, and this is where first-time developers get shocked. It's not just the tunnel structure, it's grading and paving for stacking lanes, water and sewer connections sized for industrial flow, drainage and oil separators, electrical service heavy enough for the dryers, the vacuum canopy, landscaping the city demands, and months, sometimes years, of permits, traffic studies, and environmental reviews before you pour a single yard of concrete. Budget $1 to $3 million, and roughly 2 years from signed land deal to first wash. Then the equipment, the conveyor, brush packs, chemical injection systems, water reclamation, dryers, point of sale, and the license plate cameras that recognize members and lift the gate. Roughly 700,000 to $1 million plus installed. Added up, and a new express tunnel typically costs somewhere between $3 and $7 million before it washes a single car. That's not a side hustle. That's a small factory. And here's the first thing the YouTube gurus won't tell you. Almost nobody pays that in cash. These projects are financed, often with SBA or commercial construction loans covering most of the total. Which means the real question isn't, can you afford a car wash? It's, can the car wash afford its own debt? Hold that thought. It's the entire ball game. Now let's follow the money. Starting with a single wash, the menu at an express tunnel runs from about $10 for a basic wash to $25 or more for the top package. Ceramic sealant, tire shine, rain repellent, the works, and the upsell menu is where the margin lives, because here's the strange secret of this business. The wash itself costs almost nothing to deliver. Follow one $15 wash through the tunnel, the soap, wax, and protectant chemicals, somewhere around 50 cents to $1. Water, with a modern reclamation system recycling most of it, cents. Electricity for the conveyor and those hungry dryers, maybe another quarter or so. Add a slice of labor and card processing fees, and the direct cost of washing one car is $1 or $2, against a menu price of $10 to $25. On a per-car basis, this is one of the fattest gross margins in physical retail. So what's the catch? Volume. And what controls it? Because if all you sold were one-time washes, you'd be running a weather-dependent lottery. Sunny Saturday after a snowstorm? Line around the block, printing money. Week of rain? Empty tunnel. While the loan payment, the property tax, and the payroll march on regardless. For decades, that volatility was the business. Owners lived and died by the forecast. Then the industry found its cheat code, the unlimited membership. $20 to $40 a month, wash as often as you like. Your license plate is the membership card. The camera reads it. The gate lifts. You never even roll down the window. This changed everything, for 3 reasons. 1. Recurring revenue. A wash with 3,000 members at $25 a month has $75,000 landing every month before a single drive-up customer appears. Rain doesn't cancel a subscription. Winter doesn't cancel a subscription. The weather lottery becomes a salary. 2. The gym membership effect. Members pay every month, but most don't wash anywhere near often enough to beat the price. Do the math. At $25 a month, you'd need to visit 3 or 4 times monthly just to break even against paying per wash. Most members don't. The heavy users, the ones washing 4 times a week, are subsidized by the members who signed up in January and showed up twice in March. The business gets paid for washes it never performs. 3. Valuation. Investors don't just pay for profit, they pay a premium for predictable profit. $1 of recurring membership revenue is worth more on a spreadsheet than $1 of walk-in revenue because a buyer can bank on it repeating. The subscription didn't just smooth out cash flow, it made every car wash look like a software company on a spreadsheet. And Wall Street pays software prices for software math. At well-run express washes, memberships routinely grow into half or more of total revenue, which is why every pay lane in America now has an attendant whose real job isn't selling washes. It's converting a $10 drive-up into a $25 a month subscriber, often with a teaser deal, first month for $10, that costs the wash almost nothing to honor. The car wash stopped selling washes. It started selling a clean car habit. Now the other side of the ledger, because every one of those subscription dollars has a line of costs waiting for it. Labor is light, that's the point of the model, but it's not zero. A handful of attendants loading the tunnel, working the pay lanes, keeping the vacuums running, resetting cones, wiping down mistakes. Payroll for a site typically runs a few $100,000 a year, a fraction of a restaurant's, but real. Then, the utilities. The dryers alone are some of the hungriest electrical equipment in retail, and even with reclamation systems recycling most of the water, utilities land as a 5-figure annual line at minimum, often creeping into 6. Equipment maintenance is the sneaky one. This is a machine that eats grit for a living: sand, road salt, brake dust, gravel. All of it dragged through moving parts 14 hours a day. Brushes wear out. Bearings seize, hydraulics leak, conveyors snap. And the cruelest rule of the business, equipment fails hardest when it's working hardest, which means the tunnel goes down on exactly the sunny Saturday when the line is longest. Every hour of downtime on a peak day is revenue that never comes back. Smart owners treat maintenance not as a repair bill, but as a permanent budget line. Serious money, every single year, forever. Then, the quiet skimmers. Insurance. Because brushes occasionally damage cars, and customers occasionally claim they did anyway. Credit card fees taking their cut of every single membership, every single month. Property taxes on that prime corner lot, the better your location, the bigger the bill. And marketing, because of the silent killer, churn. Members cancel every month. They move away, they tighten budgets, they realize they've washed twice since January. A wash losing 5% of members monthly has to sign up 150 new ones at a 3,000 member site just to stay level. The sales machine never gets to rest. And looming over all of it, the debt payment. Remember that multi-million-dollar build? The bank collects every month, sun or rain, full tunnel or empty. So why did private equity fall in love with this business? Because a mature express wash is a beautiful machine. Recurring revenue, low labor, fat gross margins, and a physical moat. There are only so many good corners in a town, and once a wash occupies one, a competitor can't stack another on top of it. At the property level, strong locations can run operating margins of 30 to 50%. A site doing $1.5 to $2 million in annual revenue can throw off 6 or 7 figures in operating profit, and there's a multiplier, roll-up economics. Buy or build 50 washes, run them under one brand with one back office, one app, one membership that works everywhere, and the combined company is worth more than the sum of its parts? Bigger buyers pay higher multiples for scale and for all that recurring revenue. You don't have to take my word for it. Mr. Car Wash, the biggest chain in the country, was bought by a private equity firm in 2014, scaled to hundreds of locations, taken public in 2021, and then bought again. This time for over $3 billion. That's the bull case, executed to perfection. But the same playbook, run a few years later, produced the opposite story. Driven Brands, the company behind Take 5 Oil Change, spent roughly $1 billion assembling a national car wash chain at the top of the market, paying peak prices for hundreds of locations. A few years later, it sold the entire U.S. car wash business for $385 million. Same industry, same subscription model, same spreadsheet, hundreds of millions of dollars, gone. What changed? Saturation. The gold rush worked so well that everyone showed up. Some corridors in America now have 4 express tunnels within 2 miles, all fighting for the same commuters with $10 a month teaser memberships, all running the same playbook from the same conference circuit. When every corner has a wash, membership growth stalls, teaser pricing never ends, and the spreadsheet that promised software margins starts printing grocery store margins instead, which is the warning label on this whole industry. The model is proven, and that's exactly the problem. You will not be the only one who's read this spreadsheet. The winners now are decided by site selection, traffic, visibility, demographics, and above all, competition, before the first brick is laid. Let's put honest numbers on a hypothetical single express wash. The version where things go right, and the version where they don't. Say it costs $5.5 million to build, financed with a chunk of your own money and a loan on the rest. Over 2 or 3 years, it builds to 3,000 members at $25 a month. $900,000 a year in membership revenue, plus retail washes and upsells on top. Call it $1.6 million in total annual revenue. Now subtract the stack. Labor, chemicals, utilities, maintenance, insurance, card fees, property tax, marketing. A well-run site might keep around 40%, roughly $640,000 in operating profit. Then the bank takes its share. On a loan that size, debt service can easily run $300,000 to $400,000 a year. What's left for the owner? Maybe $200,000 to $300,000 a year, on millions at risk after 2 years of permits and construction, in a business where a new competitor across the street can bend your entire model. A good return? Absolutely. A passive money printer? Not even close. Ask anyone who's rebuilt a conveyor at 2 in the morning before a sunny weekend. And that was the good scenario. Now, run the mediocre one. Wrong corner, weaker traffic, a competitor opening 18 months after you. You top out at 1,500 members instead of 3,000. Revenue comes in around 800,000. Half the good case. But here's the brutal part. Your costs barely move. The debt payment is identical, the property tax is identical, the maintenance, the insurance, the minimum staffing, nearly identical. Operating profit shrinks toward the size of the debt payment itself, and the owner's take rounds toward zero. Same industry, same equipment, same subscription model. And the difference between them is mostly about 400 feet of road position and one competitor's decision. That's this business in one sentence. Enormous margins on each car, crushed or crowned by fixed costs and location. So, is a car wash a clever investment? Time for the stamp. If you have access to millions in capital, the patience for a 2-year build, and, most importantly, a genuinely great site in a market that isn't already saturated, this is one of the most attractive small-scale industrial businesses in America. Recurring revenue, light labor, real assets, proven exits. For that investor, this stamps clever. But for everyone else, buying into a saturated corridor, underestimating maintenance and churn, or trusting a spreadsheet that assumes the good scenario. This exact same business stamps risky, sliding toward money pit the moment a competitor breaks ground across the street. And if a billion-dollar corporation with professional deal teams can misjudge this market badly enough to lose hundreds of millions, respect what that says about the difficulty. One more path worth knowing. You don't have to build. All over the country, first-generation owners who built washes in the 80s and 90s are retiring, and their sites, often with paid-down real estate and sleepy membership programs, sell for far less than new construction costs. Buying a tired wash on a great corner and modernizing it is how more than a few operators quietly got rich. The membership model works at every scale, including yours. Final verdict, clever. But only with a great site, deep pockets, and eyes open. Because it's not really a car wash business, it's a real estate business, wearing a subscription business disguised as a car wash. Think the stamp is wrong? Tell me in the comments. Make your case. If this opened your eyes, subscribe. One business every video, books wide open, verdict stamped. And next time, a business where the customers lock their own money inside and thank you for it. Is a storage facility a clever investment?